Good morning, fight fans, and welcome to Coffee with the Champ. My next guest, you may not recognize him, but you should if you're a fight fan. He is the original Golden Boy. Everybody else is taking claim to that, or maybe one or two, but he is the Golden Boy. He is the former WBC Light Heavyweight Champion of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans, Donny Golden Boy Lalonde. Champ, welcome to the show. How you doing this morning?
Thank you. I'm feeling great this morning. Feeling great.
Looking good
We
there.
wake up every day in the middle of God's country, just nothing but surrounded by nature.
Awesome.
So can't feel anything but great.
Awesome. Champ, let's reminisce a little bit. How did you start? How did you get into boxing? And I know you had an amateur record of 11-4, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Correct.
See, I did my
You've done your
research
homework.
on you.
Wow.
Did my homework. And then you just pursued it from there. What was the motivating factor for you getting involved in the sweet science?
Well, first of all, I used to have to fight my way to school because I lived in a housing project, and I was Catholic. And I had to go to my Catholic school. I had to get through a bunch of Protestants going to their Protestant school. So we would fight every day.
Okay.
And they would line up. Well, they would gang up on me.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom would be like, Donny, why are you late for school all the time? I'm like, well, I got to fight all these guys on my way, and sometimes it takes a while, And so she's like, okay, well, we're going to take you to a boxing gym down the street, the Astoria Boxing Club in Vancouver. Dale Walters, Olympic medalist from Canada, started there. Michael Lalonde boxed out of there. Yeah. So that was when I first started, but I was only like 10, 11 at the time.
Wow.
Then we moved up north near Alaska where there was no boxing.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward till I was like 17 and I was in Kitchener, Ontario. I left home at 15, just before 16, hitchhiked at minus 30 degrees to Kitchener where my father lived and my brother. And my father had left when I was 3, so I just thought maybe I would connect with him and he would sort of help me get a start in life because he was doing well for himself. But he had no interest in that, so he politely told me, like his father, no man, no fun, so sad, you're dead, So I went out there and lived with my sister actually for a while I got some work and started from there. But at 17, my brother and I were smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer, watching fights on a Saturday afternoon. And I saw an Olympic fight. I don't know who it was, but, I just saw this well-muscled athlete in the corner looking like $1 million, very confident in himself. And I just said to my brother, look at that guy. Look how good he feels about himself. Like I would like to 1 minute of my life feel as good as he looks like he feels about himself. And my brother goes, yeah, what are you going to do about that? How are you going to do it? And I said, well, let's try boxing, Put out my cigarette, went for a 5-mile run through the snow and to another friend's house, smoked a joint and said, yeah, I'm going to be a boxer. Went to the Kitchener police boxing gym the next day where Hook McComb was a trainer. Hook McComb trained at the time. He had a guy named Bobby Prue, who was a Canadian amateur who had fought Ray Leonard of recent at that time. And Lennox Lewis was training there, though he was, 11, 12 years old. I was 17. And a whole bunch of kids, the Vanderpool brothers, the Johnson brothers. There was quite a successful group of kids came out of that camp. You guys may not know them all, but they fought for world titles and stuff. Did very well, world contenders. So anyway, that's where I started really, is at 17 when I went to that gym and decided. And Hook said, so what do you boys want to do? He said, we want to box. He goes, well, you can't box the first day in the gym. We said, yeah, we can. We have to box. That's why we came here. So he goes, well, the only people you can box is each other. And it was my older brother. And this guy would die instead of letting me beat him. So we killed each other. And then we went to the bar after, had a beer, and we both had splitting headaches and just loved what we did. And we were back the next day, and it just changed my life. I thought, wow, this is a purpose. Here's a purpose, Shortly after that, Marvin Johnson fought Matthew Saad Muhammad, if you remember that.
Yes.
Like just a legendary war.
Oh, yeah.
And it just cemented in my mind. I mean, now this is a purpose. This is a reason to live. You know, when you love something so much that you would fight to the death.
Right. That's
what I want to live for. I want to live for something that I love that passionately. Right. And boxing gave me that. So it just gave me a focus in life. You know.
As quiet as Kev, correct me if I'm wrong. You were also a hockey player, correct?
Yes, I played hockey. You know, I lived, ate, and breathed hockey up until that point, basically. Okay. But just previous to that, I had been hit from behind in a hockey game and tried to protect myself from hitting my face on the boards, and I tore my rotator cuff. Okay. And so in my amateur career, which started right after that hockey injury, I was really quite limited in my ability to use my left hand because of this surgery, which was very poorly done. And that's what got me on the path to natural healing and living healthily. Okay. All of a sudden I realized I can't count on doctors to fix me. I have to figure out how to do it, because what this guy did was like a butcher on my shoulder, you know. And so I had another couple scenarios, experiences with medical things in my life that showed me that basically, you know, I mean, hey, you know, if I have cancer, I get in a car accident, get hit by a bus, I'm really grateful to have a doctor around. Right. But, you know, for an athlete, for a human being to put 100% faith outside of God, outside of like nature and what all is offered to us, is kind of foolish, because, you know, Western medicine is one practice and it's brilliant in and of itself, but it's limited, like everything. Sure. And so I had to, there was no, you know, second choice for me. I was going to be champion of the world. Wow. So that meant, you know, I got to find a way, right? Right.
So here's the question probably fans are wanting to know. Where did you get the nickname Golden Boy from?
In Winnipeg, there is a statue on the Parliament building. It's a golden boy that was given to Manitoba from France, I believe. And there was a promoter in Winnipeg competing with the rival promoter. The guys who were established were like connected people in our town. Okay. And they kind of controlled the sport. And this guy was like a business guy who had a newspaper, and he was going to take over the sport, and he needed somebody to launch it with. And I was just starting to generate a pretty good following. I'd had about 5 or 6 fights at that point. And so he took me on, and I told him, I said, what I really want to do is I want to show that, you know, like, I mean, back in those days and still today, maybe, I don't know, but, you know, boxing had a pretty dark sort of like image. You know, Don King, backroom guys, you know, like back from the days of the Mafia and Jake LaMotta was that fight he had with that one guy. You know, so I wanted to do something. I said, I want to have a very clean representation and show the world that good people are in boxing too, because I really only have met good people in boxing at that point, and still today, really. And so he said, well, there's a statue up there. It's called the Golden Boy. Would you be comfortable if I called you the Golden Boy? And we went with that as an image. And I said, sure, I'll do that. I'll carry that flag, you know, kind of thing. And it was crazy, because I really did. Before that, I was Dynamite Donny Lalonde. We came out to TNT, or Dynamite TNT, going to win the fight, you know. But anyway, so that's how the Golden Boy came. And he just took that, and I kind of ran with it after that.
Wow. Yeah, as a I should say kid, as a young person growing up, you know, I remember watching you. You had a very impressive record. You had 41 wins against 5 losses and 1 draw. You fought the likes of Mustafa Hamshaw, Wilbert Johnson, Willie Edwards, Bobby Ches, Virgil Hill, and most notable fight, which I tell people, if you want to see a great fight, when you fought Sugar Ray Leonard. I picked you to win in that fight for 2 reasons.
Wow.
And here are the reasons why. I always felt that, you know, Leonard always wanted to challenge himself, but sometimes when you go to the well once too often, you may bite off a little more than you can chew. So I leaned towards you and I said, well, Donnie's the bigger man. He should be able to control the center of the ring. And I said, you know, a lot of people are putting emphasis on his right hand, which it was bread and butter for you, but they were negating your jab. You know, they forgot all about that. And I said, if he can utilize that jab and keep Leonard off balance and touch him with that right, you might see some fireworks. So the only thing, go ahead. I'm sorry, Chad. Go ahead.
You know what's really funny is, I mean, you are one of very few that did pick me and that did see that. You know, and you were 100% accurate in your assessment, because the only way for me to lose that fight was for me to stop using my jab.
Right. Exactly.
And after the fight, Bob Dylan was in my dressing room. And after the fight, Bob Dylan goes, Donnie, why'd you stop using that jab? And he goes, you should have done that. You could have used that all night long. He couldn't got that anywhere near you. Yeah. I said, now you tell me, where were you in the fourth round? You know, because when he went down, what went through my mind, which is exactly what went through my mind when Willie Edwards went down when I fought him. That was a loss I had before that. And then that was, if I had won that fight, I got Michael Spinks.
Right. So
lucky I lost that fight, probably. You know, but if Ray Leonard beat me, Michael Spinks might have taken my head off. You know. But anyway, that moment when I realized, when he went down, like when Edwards went down, when I walked to the neutral corner, what went through my head was, I didn't hit him clean. Next time I connect, it's over.
Right.
So if you think of that, with the Edwards fight also in the fourth round and the Leonard fight in the fourth round, up until that point, they had a really hard time getting in because I was using my jab well.
Right.
So that was my fight plan, was to keep him at the end of the jab, make him try to get in, because you get frustrated. You know, somebody making you miss, you know, trying, but you get caught. And I was hitting Ray with everything. You know, it wasn't a lot of power, but he was frustrated. He was cut already. He was like banged up, you know. And so when I went to the neutral corner, what happened was, in my mind, I waited until I landed that next big punch. Instead of setting up the next big punch by using my jab. Exactly. So you nailed it. Where were you? I needed you in my corner.
Somewhere during the press conference, Ray Leonard actually told you, I think he had a premonition of him getting knocked down. Could you expound on that a little bit more?
He actually said that at the HBO post-fight telecast, which was done a week later. Yeah, and he spoke of a premonition he had of being knocked down. And you know, I mean, but back to what you said originally. Odds-wise, logically, there's no way Ray Leonard should have won that fight.
No.
I did but nobody else in boxing realized that. I mean, very few did. You did, but very few did. And I did an interview recently, a podcast with Michael Spinks in Indiana at the Indiana Boxing Hall of Fame.
Which you were just inducted to, by the way, right? Congratulations, Chad.
Thank you. It was just an incredible feeling for that to happen for me, especially with Michael being there and Marvin Johnson, as I mentioned to you earlier. Like Marvin Johnson literally made me go, hey, this is my life path, you know. And then Michael Spinks was the beam, the light we all had to try and overcome, you know. The God, you know, to try and be. And so there they are, both there inducting me. But anyway, so we're doing this podcast. And before it started and we got on air, I just said, hey, Michael, I have to apologize to you. He goes, what? What'd you do? I said, I lost to a welterweight. I was light heavyweight champion of the world, and I lost to a welterweight. And I think all light heavyweight champions deserve an apology from me, because there's no way in hell that guy should have won that fight. I mean, as great a fighter as Ray Leonard is, and no disrespect to Ray or his skills or anything. But a light heavyweight should not lose to a welterweight, and especially one who can punch. Right,
exactly. And also, a lot of people may not know that there were two titles up for grabs. There was your title, and then there was I think it was the middleweight or the super middleweight title.
The newly created by the WBC super middleweight. The IBF had created it earlier.
Okay, and in that fight, you know, Ray made you come down in weight, correct?
Okay, yes.
Okay.
But let me speak to that for a second.
Absolutely.
A lot of people diss Ray for making me come down in weight.
Right.
A lot of people put a lot of weight in the conversation of I had to lose weight.
Right.
Okay. If you remember, you mentioned it. I fought Mustafa Hamsho.
Right. Now
Mustafa Hamsho was a very physical guy, much more physical than Ray Leonard.
Right.
And we fought 12-round war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At
the end of those 12 rounds, I was like trying to knock him out because I didn't want him to finish the fight.
Right.
So he was a very dirty fighter. So I wanted to get the KO on him because nobody really beat him other than Hagler on those cuts that time.
Right.
And so, you know, so I put everything into knocking him out, and I still had a lot left in the 12th round. Sure. Well, for that fight, I weighed 169. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So 1 more pound was not different.
Right.
The weight was not my challenge. Right. The challenge was in the negotiations for the fight, Ray and my trainer had us agree verbally. We did not put it in writing. Verbally. And I like to be a man of my word. And so I was going to live and die by this. And Sabin Dave Wolf, we were both going to, Tommy Gallagher, and who helped put that fight together. Right. And so we were going to live by this. And that was that any weight over 168 pounds that I came in at the official weigh-in, let's say I came in at 170. Well, the 2 pounds represented $2 million that would come off my purse.
Oh, okay.
Any pound I came in over 168 represented $1 million. Right. Well, guess what that means to a trainer? $100,000. Right. To a manager, $330,000. Sure. And I'm not blaming them, but I'm saying the psyche of our camp, the whole focus of everybody else but me, everybody was, Donny, you got to come in underweight. You got to get your weight down. So I came in at 193 in the camp. But that was 8 weeks before the fight. And I had no question I would make the weight. In fact, 3 weeks into camp, remember, we sparred 10 rounds a day every day of camp. Wow. 5 days a week, 10 rounds a day. Wow. 3 different guys. So, because they were going to make sure I came in underweight. Yeah. But 3 weeks into camp, I weighed 167. Wow. I said, guys, can we forget about the weight? Weight is not an issue. Right. Let's just go in there strong. Right. Yeah, you know, exactly. Oh, don't worry. You're going to be strong. You're going to be able to fight all night. You're going to be doing 10 rounds a day every day until then, and you're going to be able to fight like it's nothing. Well, by the time fight came around, I had nothing. Right. By the 4th round, I saw a triple of Ray Leonard. After he went down, after that point, I was literally like seeing triple of him. Wow. Because I was so dehydrated. Sure, yeah. Man. If you look at the 9th round of that fight, 30 seconds in, I hit him with a shot. I can't remember. Left hook, I think I started with. Yeah, no, Donny didn't have a left hook. Donny didn't have a left hand. You should have seen the articles written before that. New York Times, New York Post.
You don't have a left or nothing. Yeah, I remember that.
So I started with a left hook, and I hit him for 2 minutes. Right. I mean, nonstop. But how does a welterweight sustain that kind of punishment? And whoever hit Ray Leonard for 2 minutes? Right. You know, so I could fight a little bit.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
But I mean, nobody in boxing would say that before.
No, right.
You know? But anyway, in that fight, for those 2 minutes, I hit him literally, as they say, from pillar to post. Right. Yeah. And I was looking at Richard Steele saying, well, I actually said with the mouth guard on, so he didn't understand. What do you want me to do? Kill this old man? Because we thought at 32 you were old enough.
Right. You called him that too. Right.
Welterweight and below. Welterweight and below after 30, you're old.
Right. Yeah.
Remember, you know. So I thought he was an old man. I was 28. He was 32. He was old. You know. Right. So anyway, it wasn't the weight. Right. It wasn't the 168. Right. It was we overtrained, and I took every step running. Right. I threw every punch sparring. Right. I could have just said stop right now. Yeah. I don't need all this. Right. I didn't. I went with it. You know why? Really, I loved running, and I was lazy, and I loved sparring. Right. I'd rather spar than hit the bag or whatever. Right. So I just went with it. You know. Right. So I'll take full responsibility. Right. But what happened is we overtrained. Right. I weighed 167 at the weigh-in officially, but if you notice, I was in all of my clothes. Yep. Wow. And I had stuff in my pockets because I really weighed 163. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So at 170, minus a couple pounds the night before, drying out, back up to 70, 72, I destroy Ray Leonard.
Yeah, absolutely.
in my opinion. 9.5 out of 10 times.
As quiet as it's kept, not too many people know. Ray had, I guess, verbally had promised you a rematch. Is that true?
Well, I mean, I honestly can't say that I recall him saying that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do recall before the fight us talking that talk,
mm-hmm.
but in all reality, he was Ray Leonard. I was nobody.
Right.
He had just beat Marvin Hagler.
Right.
His next fight was Tommy Hearns or Duran, and then after that, I mean, he didn't really have an owing me anything, really.
Right.
And the guy gifted me one of
Right.
the biggest opportunities boxing can ever offer somebody.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I don't certainly begrudge him for that in any way. I mean, I would love to have had a rematch. I voiced that many times.
Right.
In fact, I still would have a rematch. Let's do it again, right?
Hey, jump on in. Everybody else is coming out of retirement.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why not?
Wow, man.
But yeah, so I mean, there's always stuff said that tries to sort of like, let's say if you're a anti-Ray Leonard, you're going to say stuff that makes him, try to validate your position on him.
Sure.
But in fairness, Ray gave me a wonderful opportunity. It was mine to win.
Mm-hmm.
It was mine to lose.
Right.
I blew it.
Right.
Thank you, Ray, for the opportunity, and it's been a hell of a ride since then, in a respect of my life from that fight. Right. So I'm nothing but grateful about that.
You have always been a champion with class. I remember the press conferences. You just always handled yourself with class as a professional, which is an attribute to your character. And man, I tell you what, if there was a time machine and we could go back in time, man, I love to see the 80s and the 90s fight again. And but in life there. And you don't have to dwell on this. You've had many trainers, not many, I'm sorry. You had Tommy Gallagher. I think Dave Wolf was your manager, correct?
Correct. But I did have trainers before.
Yeah, you had So, and you don't have to go into this, but you had one trainer, well-respected trainer, that you and him kind of had what I call creative differences, to put it mildly. Teddy Atlas. Have you guys... have you had an opportunity to, I guess, bridge the gap, not knowing the circumstances of everything, and have you guys had, chance to, put all that stuff under the bridge and as men of, professional characters and let bygones be bygones?
We've never taken the moment to do that. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I wouldn't.
Right.
But I will say this about that. And that is that everything Teddy based his bringing a gun to my apartment to kill me because he didn't make the money in the Leonard fight,
right.
which he wrote so proficiently in his book about.
Yeah.
The whole basis of his anger, mm-hmm. which drew him to do that, and which still today he probably carries. Mm-hmm. And he can't go back on because he's spoken too much to too many people about what a bad guy I am. And he would have to retrace all of those comments to everybody.
Right.
The fact is, what he was upset about never happened.
Wow.
So what he was upset about, Dave Wolf managed a guy named Donny Poole, mm-hmm. also from Canada, mm-hmm. up until he signed with me.
Right.
And Teddy trained Donny Poole.
Mm-hmm.
And when Donny and Dave had a falling out, they went to court in New York. He was sued mm-hmm. in New York.
Right.
In a court by Donny Poole. And there was a court case. And Teddy somehow got in his mind that I went to court and testified in support of Dave mm-hmm. in a realm that I had zero business doing because I was not there at the time it happened. Well, the fact is I never went to court.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a documentable fact.
Right.
So his being upset about what I did in court to support Dave against Don Poole
right.
which was his fighter also,
right.
but only as a trainer.
Right.
It's complete false.
Right. Right.
But yet he would have to acknowledge that,
right.
and he won't,
Wow.
because the reality is, Dave asked me, would you come to court and testify and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I said, Dave, I don't even know Donny Poole. I don't know him. I don't know you. I didn't know Teddy Atlas, any of these guys.
Right.
So I have nothing to say to a courthouse about what happened between you and Don.
Sure.
And that was the only conversation we ever had about it. He said, that's fair enough, and I'll leave it at that.
Wow. Well, hopefully in the not too distant future, you guys could, settle the misunderstandings,
Yeah.
And move on. Life is too short to, have grudges or whatever the case may be, and yada yada yada.
Yeah, I can't remember which fight it was. Sorry, just quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Holyfield, Moore, or Moore or Foreman, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy, of course, had Moore. And we were in Vegas, right in Caesars, where I fought Leonard, and like right where you walk out to go towards the outdoor stadium. And there was a whole bunch of people around. The media was around, and Teddy was there. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't seen him since we had stopped working together.
Sure.
This is so whenever that was, let's say in early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh my God, there's Teddy Atlas. And I walked up to him,
mm-hmm.
and I went to shake his hand, because he liked to shake a hand very militaristically.
Wow.
And I mean, my right hand was so bad that hurt me. So I was kind of like lighter of hand, and that was really bothered him. I wasn't a man. I wouldn't shake hand like a man. So I went to shake his hand like a man and say, hey, Teddy, congratulations. I said, congratulations on your success. Because, I mean, he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
He was late 20s when we met, when he was training me.
Sure.
So for him to have the success he did, I was very happy for him.
Right.
And so I just went, hey, Teddy, congratulations. I'm so happy. And he turns around, pulls his hands away, and went insane on me. What the F are you doing? Blah, 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 screaming at me. I said, Teddy, are you literally insane? I came here to thank.
We lost audio.
I had no idea at that time.
Wow.
I found out years later.
Wow. That's it. Well, Champ, I'm getting ready to wrap the show up. I only do a half an hour because people's attention span isn't that long. But, Champ, listen.
I understand.
One question for you. Do you follow the fight game now?
Yes, I do. I think this Bivol guy and the other Russian, Betabirev,
yes.
These are two great fighters, I think.
Wow.
I think they're going to be tough to beat. Although Canelo, if anybody can, Canelo might be one of them. I don't know.
Absolutely. So do you follow
great fights?
Do you follow the heavyweight division at all?
Of course. I love Tyson Fury.
Okay.
It's so entertaining.
Well, that cancels out my next question. I was like, who are you going to pick in a trilogy? But you've already given it away.
Well, I offered to both guys, and of course they don't know me or care about me,
right.
But I offered to train both those guys, because both guys could use a little bit of education in certain ways that would really behoove them.
Right.
And I love both guys.
Right.
But I just think Fury has not only more skill, but certainly he's got him up here.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I hope, whatever, right?
We'll have to wait till October the 9th to find out if you are correct. But I wanted to show you something. I want to bring back a little memory. Here you go.
Oh, my God. Who's that guy? I slightly recognize him.
There you go, Champ. Champ, listen. I always end my show with this. You see my wall back here?
I do. I love it.
Okay, and what's missing?
That's why I sat here.
Okay.
Picture of me.
You got to make it happen, Champ. You got to make it happen.
All right. We'll do that. You know where I live. I showed you. There's not many print shops around.
Yeah.
But I'll try and find one and try and find a picture I can send you.
Well, I won't put the pressure on you. At least by Christmas.
Okay.
That'll be a great Christmas present to me, and I'll try.
You got to text me your address.
And likewise, Champ. I'm going to wrap up my show. I am honored to have you on there. I really appreciate you. Like I say, from time to time, YouTube has got so many fights on YouTube now, but I still have you on VHS tape. I got to get it converted before I lose it. But it was truly an honor and a privilege to have you. Once again, congratulations on you being inducted into the Indiana Boxing Hall of Fame. Yeah, nice. Nice. All the love and respect to you. Wish you the best.
Thank you.
Stay in touch. You are always welcome back on Coffee with the Champ. And let's do a rematch and come back and talk anytime. And would love to have you back again. Can you hear me?
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. I'm working on a little bit of a program, which might be a program, we'll see, about trying to help fighters that have a hard time in life. Yes, I heard you. We did get cut out of it.
Okay. When
I'll let you know if there's anything on that we can talk about one day.
Absolutely. Would love to have you back and share stuff like that. You have my contact. Well, I'll send you my address. You send me yours. And let's keep in contact. Don't let it be another 25 years before we talk again.
You betcha, champ.
All right.
Great to see you. You're looking great.
Likewise. You look like you're ready to get back in the ring. God bless. Take care.
I'm ready anytime. Come on. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. God bless. Folks, that wraps up our edition with Coffee with the Champ. You saw my guest, great professional, former WBC Light Heavyweight Champion of the world, Donny the Golden Boy Lalonde. That wraps us up for this edition. Stay tuned. Will be more airing of the show. Go to YouTube, press the subscribe button, and tell me what you think of the show, how I can improve it, or anything that would be helpful, okay? Until then, pour yourself a hot cup of coffee and just wait for our next show. Take care.